Hello, hi there, Sagittarius. I do hope that you're all lovely and well, and welcome to your June horoscope for your love life for 2019. Can you believe it is June already? Time is flying this year, or maybe it's just me. So, if you watch me for the first time, I'm a psychic reader, so I don't use cards. I work with the help of my spirit guides. I'm clairsentient, all that stuff, which means I can tap into energies and I just interpret the information. So shall we just crack on with it, just like I normally do, to let you know what the flow of things are to come. So a lot of Sagittarius seem to start at the beginning of the month, and probably because of last month with you having to kind of deal with the energies of somebody who was very kind of regressive, very kind of childlike, that you start this month in kind of two ways. Some of you are feeling very kind of like you can't trust a person, or maybe trust your judgment around them, feel like they are perhaps taking your energy or just taking advantage. And then there's some of you that just feel like you just need to just take a step back from them. And it doesn't mean you have to break up, but it just feels like you just need to just do less with them and more have a focus on yourself. Now, it could be that you have both of those things happening and one begets the other, because maybe because of your distrust, or you just feeling exhausted by what they put you through the previous month, that you were just feeling like, I just can't, I just cannot give my energy in that kind of sense. I think overall, Sagittarius, I do have to say there's a lot of your energy overall this month, probably from an astrological perspective, feels lower. You feel a lot more lethargic, a little bit more, dare I say, lazier. You just feel like, and it's not because you are lazy, it's because you're exhausted, and because you are overwhelmed, or because you're just mentally drained by the relationship aspect. And I think when I said last month, like you're dealing with a 2-year-old, you know, for those of you who are parents, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of having to put so much focus on somebody who just taking, or just doing dramatic things that you're just like, I can't deal with it. So you start this month just very about you, recharging. A lot of from the first week and then into the second week, you focusing really pretty much on nurturing yourself, your well-being, and that will come out in many things. That could just be you taking a step back, changing your outfit, changing your hairstyle, a lot of tenderness and self-love, laying in more, doing less, having a break, taking holidays, just self-care in every respect, but very much nurturing yourself instead of nurturing the other person. And that's quite an emotional, intelligent thing that you're doing, Sagittarius, because I think if you were to give or to allow that person to do any more than what they are doing, then you'd be going into quite an unhealthy territory. And I think in your sign in particular, and I can say that because I am a Sagittarius as well, is that you just is not your happiest place to sit in this low vibration, or what feels like a boggy vibration. So it is intuitive, or kind of built in your DNA to want to do something about it. Now, the other person obviously will notice that. I don't get that they do any more of the tantrum stuff. I think that energy is definitely burnt out. There is definitely more of a concern. They may mirror you a little bit in terms of they may appear to be more withdrawn, particularly if you're with a water sign. They may do exactly the same and take a bit of a step back, because they're not liking the detachment from you. They're trying to figure out a little bit whether you have seen through them, whether they are concerned about whether you don't trust them, or there is an overall concern, I guess. But they do notice. They don't seem to do anything too much about it, other than to kind of be mindful or worried or observant or pull back in the first couple of weeks. But I do get in the third week, and then in particular in the fourth week, but in the third week they start to sulk about it, because where they have been getting the attention and needing the attention, they were okay to go with it maybe for a couple of weeks, and now it's the third week they're like, I want my mummy back, or I want my daddy back. A little bit, they want your attention, and so they start to sulk about it. You're not taking it, I have to say. Highly, you feel like you're doing, like having fun, doing things, being independent, taking care of yourself, and they feel like not only are they sulking, they're feeling like, well, my life it now feels really terrible because you're not giving me attention. And I think this is around for that person, not necessarily for you, about them learning also that you can't rely on somebody else or be so codependent on somebody else for your own happiness, but also that you can't drag that person down to where you are like they were trying to do last month, because then it makes them feel better. So I guess there's a little bit of jealousy that you seem to be spending time on yourself and not on them, because they are used to you spending time on them, and they start to sulk about it. In the third week, it's just sort of simmers, and you might be aware of it, but I feel like you'll just want to be oblivious to it because you just don't want to be drawn in by that. The trouble is as you get to the fourth week, they revert a little bit to the 2-year-old. They want your attention, and whatever they do, Sagittarius, doesn't feel healthy for them, for you, for the relationship, because it is, one would call it like a cry for help a little bit, but it feels really unnecessarily dramatic. So I do need to warn you, in the fourth week, your significant interest, love-wise, does something, and now let me cover some of the possibilities, because this is obviously a general. Now, they could decide they want to go out one night and get themselves completely drunk to the point they are, they come home to you effing and bliming and blaming you and being completely horrible. That's an example. They could cheat on you. That's another example, because they want your attention. Any cheating that happens is attention seeking, totally toxic. But I do see that people sometimes do this. Another way of them doing it is to feel very entitled and very kind of like narcissistic and very kind of bold. I'm being over the top because it feels over the top, and I'm not saying these are exactly the things they're going to do. These are just examples, but you do need to know that in the fourth week, because they are not getting mummy or daddy's attention, they, just like a child, will try to get what I call a negative reward. If they can do something dramatic that then shows that then your attention goes zoom right back to them, and then you get upset about it, tells them one thing, that you do care. Now that I'm giving you this reading, because this is the bonus sometimes to this, you can sometimes change things, is that now you know that it's going to happen, instead of you rewarding them negatively for their behavior, is to be indifferent, but try to reward them for other things that they do that are much more positive. Now, you can do that either before the fourth week, so they don't feel like they need to slip that way, or just completely ignore it completely. Whatever it is, it feels like you're going to be having to deal with it anyway in the fourth week, which may also then trickle into August for you. So just bear that in mind. So you've got, I don't know, it's a journey around the self this month, but you still seem to have some problems still with the other person and their codependency and their view on themselves, which is low vibrational, and them trying to drag you down there because they want you to give them all the attention and that you mustn't spend it on yourself. I don't think that's going to happen. Anyway, my lovely people, I really hope that's been helpful to give you some insight in terms of the energy that is going to be at play this month, I should say. And I hope that helps. Good luck, Sagittarius, and do let me know how it goes. Take care.